I am committed to living the life I dream of by standing in my empowered health. And I invite you to do the same. The four pillars of empowered health are love, wisdom, pleasure, and power. I invite you to use the four pillars to form a very strong foundation of true, pure, and lasting health. When you do this, you can step away from the trauma and the suffering associated with women's health as defined by our culture and our society. We live in a male-dominated world, and let's face it, it's men who dictate so many of the cultural norms that we have been indoctrinated to believe. We've been told what beauty looks like. We've been told what our bodies should look like. And that's mostly dominated by men. And I'm inviting you to step away from it because we have all internalized these messages. We learned at an early age that we have to please others. We have to be nice little girls, good little girls, beautiful, pretty, attractive little girls. And our other qualities, such as intelligence and power, have been minimized, have been destroyed, have been taken away from us. And we were little girls, so there wasn't a lot we could do about it, right? And of course, there are exceptions to this, but most of us, even the powerful appearing people, the outgoing, the strong, dominant women in our society, we've all had to face those internal struggles about what we've been taught about how a woman should act and how a woman should look, and what we know in our hearts to be true. And this has made it very difficult. And so many of us have suffered in these internalized messages to think that, oh, even though I'm thin, I don't look good in a bikini, or I have to be self-conscious when I'm wearing that dress, or I'm wearing a bathing suit, or when I'm standing in front of a crowd. And we've learned to question, can I do that? Am I beautiful enough? Am I good enough? Are my boobs big enough? Is my butt big enough? Is my waist small enough? Are my legs long enough? And this has been embedded into our health system. So we go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, you know, you really should be making better choices. If you just lost a little weight, you'd feel a lot better. Or when we're pregnant, being minimized. Or when we come with hormonal issues, being brushed aside. Oh, well, you're just getting older. Oh, that's just menopause, or you're just pregnant, or you're just breastfeeding, or you're just a new mom. And we were taught these things throughout our lives, even going back to when I was a teenager in the 80s. Internalizing that message of somehow I'm not enough. I'm not enough exactly as I am. I have to keep working. I have to eat a little less and work out a little more and wear something a little shorter and tighter. And I can't just be myself. If I'm aggressive, if I'm loud, if I'm angry, oh, well, that's not very ladylike. And let's face it, these messages are insidious and they are subtle, especially in the year 2022 when everybody knows better. We all know better. And yet our daughters, our sisters, our cousins, our mothers, we all have been indoctrinated into this way of thinking, of minimizing ourselves, and really removing ourselves from the power that we know we have. And that's why I'm calling this empowered health, because I want to invite you to step into that power. It's there. I promise you, you are powerful. You do deserve love. You are worthy. It doesn't matter what size dress you're wearing. It doesn't matter if you have makeup on or not. It doesn't matter if you get angry and you let people know that you're not happy with that. You express your opinions and your desires without feeling bad. Oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. This is all what we've been taught. But that power is there, and I'm inviting you to grab it. So now that I've ranted a little bit and I've kind of stated my case and I'm inviting you to step into your power, I have to give you some tools to help you with that. No, of course, you don't need me, really. You can go and find another way to step into your power. You can create your own way to step into your power. I just came up with these 4 pillars that really resonate with me, and maybe they resonate with you. And if they do, you could try them out. The first is love, and then there's wisdom, pleasure, and power. I put them in that order for a reason. I think we should all try to start with love, being tender, gentle, compassionate, forgiving, loving to yourself. And this opens up so much opportunity for you to grow. Because without that self-love, growth is much more difficult. If you can just accept yourself for who you are and love yourself anyway, it opens up the door for growth. It's magical the way it works. So I'm inviting you to practice what I call loving presence. Being present, tapping into your emotions and your physical sensations in your body, and being true to yourself. That's part of loving yourself, is understanding what's going on and creating that loving presence within yourself first. And from that, you'll learn all kinds of cool things about yourself. And I'm inviting you to accept the good with the bad. It's all part of who you are, and that's okay. And what happens is the bad, right? The things that we don't like about ourselves. Once you start to accept them and love yourself anyway, you open up a path to change those things a little bit, right? If you're angry and you ignore it, the anger just festers. It doesn't go away. If you're angry and you say, well, I'm angry, and that's okay. It's okay for me to be angry. I'm still lovable. Then all of a sudden you open up this third path, which is, what can I do differently? What do I really want in this situation? So, and I also talk about the 4 R's, which is a 4-step process that you can go through to practice that loving presence. And I've made other videos about that. The next step is wisdom. Ladies, you have infinite wisdom. I promise you, it's all there. You just need to tap into it. So again, turning inward and asking your body for the answers. Your body has a lot of the answers. Whether it's, should I eat this food or not, or should I fast or not, or should I stop eating dairy, those are all questions that you may have that you seek outside sources, which sometimes an outside source is very helpful with this. But I'm also inviting you to look inward and ask your body, oh, when I do that, do I have more energy or less energy? Do I feel better or worse? Do I suddenly have GI issues? So that's the body wisdom that's there, but there's also the intuitive body wisdom around everything else, not just eating, but looking inward and saying, okay, so I feel that anger. What's at the root of that anger? What am I afraid of? What do I really want? And again, the 4R process can help you to walk through this and really tap into that body wisdom that you have. And I tell you, once you start tapping into that wisdom, your power is going to, your feeling, your awareness of your power is going to increase. Power was always there. You're just kind of realizing it and accepting it. So love, wisdom, and pleasure. No practice is truly health building and sustainable if there isn't pleasure involved. Pleasure is a requirement for empowered health. If you're suffering, if you're sucking it up and, oh, I just need to lose those 10 pounds and then I can go back to not suffering, that's not sustainable. That's not a sustainable model. And we know that. You may even know that, right? You may even have experienced suffering and depriving yourself, losing weight, or getting, having less pain in your knees, right? something that you've done for your health in the name of health that requires you to be unhappy. That's not health. You must take pleasure in your health building processes. I mean, I don't think anybody would complain about that, right? Hey, I get to enjoy the process. I get to be curious. I get to look forward to my meals. I get to explore and discover what makes me excited. That's all good stuff. Love, wisdom, pleasure, and power. When you practice loving presence and you realize that you are lovable no matter what, and you tap into that body wisdom and you pursue that pleasure, naturally out of those practices, you are going to feel more and more powerful. The power, it bubbles up. It's there right now within you. But as you practice these things, it bubbles up even more and more and more, and you can feel the power. You start to live in that place of power. And now you're making choices about your health coming from that place of power and wisdom. And so some people may listen to this and say, well, okay, so I'm going to just be and just accept who I am, and I'm not going to do anything different. Well, that's up to you. I would make the argument that empowered health involves growth. And I like to think of it as dancing a fine line between striving and thriving. So on one hand, thriving is about appreciating and loving yourself, no matter what, being forgiving and compassionate to yourself. That's thriving. Being present, appreciating your wisdom, appreciating the moment, and taking pleasure, right? Enjoying the process. That's all thriving. And also what happens is we start to want to strive to do a little better, to be a little better based on our standards, not somebody else's standards, right? It's based on what's important to you, what matters to you. And as you start to do that, you naturally gravitate toward things that make you feel good. Things that feel like self-love. I'm going to eat that food that gives me energy and mental clarity. And I'm going to avoid that food that makes me tired and sleepy and sluggish. Just because it feels better. And I'm pursuing pleasure. I want to feel good. So you're kind of dancing that fine line between striving and thriving. And if you go too far off of one side, you're going to feel it, right? If you're just, hey, I'm just enjoying the moment with my margarita, and that's all fine and dandy. And if you start doing that every day, you might start to feel like, oh, I'm not really giving my body the love and care and attention that it deserves. So that's the magical place where I want you to dance. I'm inviting you to dance for empowered health, is appreciating and loving yourself for who you are right now. Tapping into your body wisdom, paying attention, pursuing pleasure, recognizing your power, and also saying, wow, when I do this thing, I feel good and I want more of that. And the thing about loving yourself and having that feeling of power is that you become satiated before you even eat. You feel good even before you go out on that walk. The goodness, the good feeling, it permeates everything you do from morning to night. And you start to realize that food has become a way to squash down emotions or to alleviate boredom or frustration. And that kind of starts to go away. So it becomes easier and easier to make healthy choices because it just feels better. And you don't have to rely on food or alcohol or sitting and watching TV all day to make yourself feel better. That kind of goes away. And this is true power, right? Because you're really coming at your health from a place of I'm doing this for me and no one else. And then you can walk into your doctor's office and with power and say, hey, I know my body. I'm the expert in me. I know what I need. I'm feeling something's off. Let's do the lab work. Or you walk into a party or you put on a dress. Doesn't matter what size you are. As long, it only matters to you, right? It doesn't matter to anybody else. And you feel, I'm beautiful because I love myself. And that feels really good. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. That's empowered health. And I invite you to show this to the women and the girls, the young ladies. I have a 16-year-old and a 20-year-old daughter right now. They are just as subject to all the crap that I was indoctrinated to when I was their age. Oh, Instagram, TikTok, oh, how do I look? Oh, am I sexy? I mean, I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I think that a lot of the messages are about our outer appearance and how we should look in order to gain love. So I invite you to show this to the women in your lives and the girls in your lives. And let's start to create a movement. Let's start to change this. As we step into our power, and believe me, they don't want us to step into our power. As we step into our power, then things start to shift in the world. And that's what I'm inviting you to do. And it starts with you. You may feel like you won't be able to make a difference, but you can make a difference by starting with yourself and coming from a place of love and wisdom and pleasure and power for your health. And then inviting others to do the same. Be the example. So this is fun stuff. It should be fun. If it feels like work, take a moment to assess what's going on. It should be fun. Feel good. That's what I'm inviting you to do, and that is what Empowered Health is all about. And I appreciate that you listen to this. I hope that you get inspired, and I do hope that you share it with others so that we can make a difference in this world and change the meaning of beauty and health for women.